All right, welcome to another session of Office Hours. I see a lot of folks join us online as well as a poll room here in class here. You should be able to see my screen back here. For those of you online, I've got you on mute for now, and we're going to go ahead and get started. And Office Hours is a time where all of our members can come here, whether it's joining us online or joining us in class, and this is your time. So you can ask any questions you want. So generally, we normally go through the room and kind of have everybody introduce themselves because we're starting a little bit late. I had 3 meetings on at one time today, and so it's my bad. I apologize. You know, normally I would even sing for you guys because I'm starting late. But because we are starting late, we might just need to move on to. Oh, you guys think I should sing? All right. So I'm gonna have to sing because. If I break the rule, I have to sing. So if you break the rule, you guys have to sing. So no, I have to choose a song. If you choose a song, we may never get done. All right, so I'll go ahead and start this song here. So Gulu te me me kuyo ochichi, Gulu te me me kuyo ochichi, ochichi ochichi ochichi. Yeah. All right, that's it. That's all I can do. Sit down.
What does that mean?
I have to translate that for
Yeah, that's this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine.
Okay.
That's Imong. Anybody know my linguist specialist here? Have you guys
Blue monk or
done
white monk?
Blue Monk?
Blue monk.
Yes. There you go. All right, so for those of you joining us online, I'm going to mute all of you. Actually, I'm going to let you guys start. Normally, we start with all the questions from the live folks here. So for those of you online, I'm going to let you guys ask questions first today. So who's got a question? Go ahead and ask away. Online folks, any questions from online?
No. No.
No questions?
Not at this time.
Last call. Last call for online folks.
Nope.
Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and shift to our live folks. I'm going to put you guys on mute. If you have a question along the way or a comment, you can type it in the chat section, and I'll check on that from time to time. All right, so who's got questions here for all of you here? Any questions? Okay.
What was the website? What was the best source for contracts that have already been
That's been awarded. Okay, and what?
Research, along the lines that you're looking for. What was that?
Okay, so what are you trying to do with it though? There's many sites, but what's your goal behind? Okay, so the question is, you want to find out the database where you can go find out who's winning contract and what contract are coming up for renewal, so that you can potentially bid on it in the future, and look at your competitors and look at who you can team up with and potential partners. Okay, so who has the answer? I know you guys are really smart. Okay. USAspending.gov is the main one for everyone. So let's go look at that quickly. USAspending.gov is the main site. That's the main site. There's other sites out there, but it's harder to navigate. The second site, the password is GCA, all caps, 422. Other site is fpds.gov, frankpauldavidsam.gov, fpds.gov. And all these are government sites. They're free sites. This site you do have to register. FPDS is the main database where contracting officer comes and dump all the data on this site here. So you as a you as a member of the public, as a citizen, you have access to the same database that they put all the information in. But this one is a little bit harder to navigate, so I generally don't recommend starting here. I recommend starting with USA Spending. This is a little bit more user-friendly. But the information from here, they get it from FPDS, which comes in here. So let's look at, there's a lot of good things you can do on USA Spending. And you can come on here, and if you just want to look at Georgia, how much money was awarded in the state of Georgia? You can just click on this, click on the state, and it'll pull up the information. So far, 2017 fiscal year. Now, what day did the fiscal year start? What month and what day? Yes, October 1st. So the federal government fiscal year starts October 1st. And so we're already in 2017 for the government, whereas us in the real world, we just started, 24 days ago, whereas the government, they started back on October 1st, their fiscal year. Since that, they've awarded $8 billion to companies in the state of Georgia. Now, of that, how many of our Georgian companies are getting those contracts? Anybody here yet? Not yet. Come on, Carmichael, your goal was $2.5 million this year. We got to get going. Okay, awesome. And you can see Fulton County received the most funding so far. Money that went to Fulton County. Early County, was that in South Georgia? Anybody know what Early County is? Yeah, well, Georgia had like 150 counties, so Cobb County, the second most, yeah. Next to Texas. DeKalb County, Gwinnett County, so Fulton, Cobb, DeKalb, Gwinnett is no surprise, but Early County, I wonder what Early County is. There might be a military base. It might be, where there's a military base somewhere. It might be one of those counties. And so these companies have won the most contracts. Team Staff Government Solutions, $22 million so far. Kreider, $13 million. Palmetto GBA, $10 million. Ameriquo, and then Lockheed, 9.1. The top awarding agency is Social Security Administration, Agriculture, Education, VA, and HHS. HHS is mainly through CDC. In the state of Georgia, most contracts in the state of Georgia is probably done through CDC. They receive the most funding. So there's a lot of money tied to them, whether it's related to health or whether it's just IT support or whether it's cleaning, janitorial services. Yeah.
Because before, they have cut it significantly.
Zika virus.
Yeah, the Zika.
Yeah, they
and
received.
I've worked on several of those projects.
Mm-hmm.
They got so much.
Yes. And it's only ridiculous if it doesn't come to your company.
I got a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's right there at UGA.
Southwest Georgia? Okay. So South
Alabama.
Okay, so that must be.
Dawsonville, Blakely.
Is it-
Miller is close, but it's close to Dalton, Alabama.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll have to do more research. So this is how you would do it here. You would come on here, click on Advanced Data Search on the top right corner. Click on that, and it's going to take you to where there's more details for you to click on. And so you click on, you want to choose one full fiscal year. So you want to choose 2016 so you can see a whole year cycle. Then after that, you want to come down here. And you can choose, let's assume that we want to do place of performance is Georgia only. So let's just go with Georgia in terms of place of performance so that we can see all the work that was awarded in the state of Georgia in legal, right? Which area you want to do? Computer graphics. Okay, so I'm going to put, so what's your primary NAICS code? Uh-oh. Quiz time. So,
I think it's 541.
okay, good memory. I love it when you have a good memory. Yes. Awesome, good memory. 541, what is it?
430.
430, okay. Graphics sir. So I'm just going to check that one NAICS and let's see how much it is. And then I'm going to come back and show a different way because most of your graphics work doesn't fall under graphics itself. It falls under a different NAICS scope. All right, so not a lot of money. Graphics, $319,000 last year. So does that mean the government doesn't buy graphic design? No. So what does that mean then? Is listed under what though? Yes, it is listed under something else. Listed under what? Consult. What type of consulting? General. That's too broad. Marketing, advertising. Because graphic design, when they award like $150 million to a advertising contract with there's like 5 companies on that project, maybe 3 small, 2 large, and then of that $150 million, all of your graphic design is tied to that one big project. So think of it as construction. In the construction industry, if somebody's a plumber and the government only award $319,000 in plumbing, does that mean there's no plumbing work in a building? No, it just means they went to who? The general contractor. Yes, it went to the general contractor, and then the general contractor went and, bless you, hired out the plumbers, the electrician. Well, in graphic design, it's the same way. It goes to the advertising agency or to the PR NAICS code, or to the publishing, like magazine designs and the government. They still print a lot. So it goes to these other NAICS code, and then graphic design is a subset of that. And so if all you want to do is graphic design, what does that mean? You have to team up and approach it as a subcontractor. Now, if you start off as a subcontractor, because if we looked at the numbers, there's not a lot of money in graphic design as a prime. So if you want to continue to do government work, then you have to look at it as, how do I become a successful government contractor? To do that, you have to become you have to position your company, your wife's company, as an advertising agency. Now, does that mean you do advertising work? No, that means you sub out the advertising part, the media buys, and the other things that you don't do, and you do the graphic design, and then somebody else does all the other work. So you become a prime, you become more like a general contractor. You do the plumbing work, but you let everybody else do the other things. So that's the strategy. So does everybody understand that strategy there on how to position your company? If you don't see a lot of dollars, that just doesn't mean that they don't buy it. No, that means they buy it, they just buy it a different way. So let's see, are you familiar with any of these companies in Georgia? Let's look at this biggest one here, 140. Okay.
How long have you been in it?
So I'm getting back into it. So I had stepped away for quite a few years, doing mostly corporate training on the commercial side. But when I did, and I had primarily Department of Defense contracts. I did actually as a on one of the where it showed on the sources part. It showed there was an A76 action, and it said no. So the A76 isn't very popular anymore, but the company that I worked for were the ones who actually wrote the all of the training for doing A76 studies, and it was essentially at the time to do to determine whether or not the government should be doing the work in house or should it have someone external doing the work. And so let's go back to the first Bush administration and the Clinton administration argued that any work that was not inherently governmental should be done by the private sector. So they tried to determine whether or not the thing was inherently governmental, and if it wasn't, then the government had to compete to do its own work. If it could do it, if it could do it cheaper, then the government can get the work. But if it couldn't do it cheaper, then the private sector would get it.
So the government probably lost a lot of contracts.
So now that's the way it sounds in theory. In practice, they generally said that if the private sector could not do it for 10% less than the government.
Stipulation.
But no one says that.
Yeah.
But that's what it ended up being.
Yeah.
President Obama sort of pushed aside the A76 regulation from the OMB, so it wasn't really, we weren't doing A76 studies anymore.
So he just hired more government.
He hired more government people, so he called it insourcing. He just
Pulled it
snatched
back
all
in.
your employees.
So it should be going the other way now.
Oh yeah.
Trump put a freeze on hiring, except military.
Yep. Well, but the requirements don't change, right? They still need what they need. So someone's going to do it.
Yeah, historically under a Democratic presidency, insourcing, more spending from insourcing, which is less contract opportunity for you as a small business. Historically under a Republican presidency, more outsourcing goes out and more DoD spending. That means that there's going to be more contracting for small businesses. So that's just kind of how the politic role outside of social programs. Republican are more business, less social program. Democratic is more social program. So for all of us, we can't have both. We want social programs, and we want small business opportunity. But that's just kind of how that's bipartisan. That's how this country is. So we live with both. I have a love-hate relationship with both parties. The zero amount in terms of this contract here? So zero amount usually is where it's a task order. They win a master contract or they get a GSA schedule where there's no dollar amount attached to it and it will be ordered out later. So it's kind of like you win a big contract for language services. So you win a big contract for language services. It may be a $10 million contract. And so they show that $10 million earlier on a different project. But then when the task order comes in, it shows up zero because it's actually attached to another contract. So there's different ways of reporting that there's a lot of intricacies in terms of how they do the reporting. And sometimes it's just error. They just make it error in the data entry and that's it. So now if it's like a $20 billion or $10 million or $5 million project, errors will be caught and they will fix that. But if it's like an $18 million project or a zero or it's an insignificant amount, it may never be fixed. All right, so next question. Let me go online quickly. I think there's a few comments in here. So Oh, what happened to my online comments? I think I've lost all my online comments in here. All right, so any questions online? I'm going to unmute everybody. How do I unmute everybody?
What about on the other side where it says all? Is that what?
Oh, that's the low hand.
Or mute all?
Yeah, select the mute all.
Or you got mute all?
Is it mute all? I guess you press it again.
Yeah, okay, let me try it again.
At the bottom?
At the
At
bottom left, right there.
Yeah.
The left, other
On the
side.
left, yeah.
The left, no.
This is mute all. Okay, well, I just do it one by one. There's not that many, so okay. So all those online, any questions from those online?
No. No, sir.
No questions?
No question.
Okay, so raise your hand and chat down there if you have questions. Next, folks, any other questions in the audience in the room here? I'm going to mute all of you online, so just so you know.
Hey, now you said that the number one certification was 8A, and then did you say veteran?
Can you help me out? Give me 1 second. Can you jot down all the questions that asked and what we talked about, just one sentence, so that we can, when we do the video recording, they can put that up. Yeah, there's a pen over there. You need a pen. Yes, okay. Question? Right?
So you say 8A?
No, just as we go through, just go down.
8A number one?
80 number 1,
Veterans number 2?
yes. Service disabled veteran,
Service
SDVOSB.
disabled.
Yes, there's VOSB and the SDVOSB.
Okay.
So the SDVOSB is probably the second best program.
Okay.
And then it used to be Hub Zone, but the women's program has got more traction. So I think the women's program is a little bit better right now.
Okay.
And the Hub Zone is 4th. And then VOSB is like 5th. But VOSB, that program is only recognized with two big agencies, the Department of Defense and the VA. Whereas all the other agencies, the regulations only extend to SDVOSB. They don't necessarily, recognize the VOSB, and but some do. Yeah.
So you provide all of these certifications?
Yes. So for business decel, we're getting certified. We will help them get certified, or we can teach you how to do it. If you want us to do it, there's a fee for that. But if you want to do it yourself, if you want to navigate through the process, we can teach you how to do it, and then we have the software that will guide you how to do it. All right. Any other questions? Okay, the question from Margaret is, how much is the fee for certifications? Just kind of quickly show you for purposes. Where is it? This is it. Nope, that's not the one. Okay. So for certifications, if you want to do it yourself, there's no cost. The government does not charge you to do your own certification. But if you want someone to do it for you, then we do charge a fee for women-owned certification. For all of the members, is $900. For non-members, is $1,500. For EDWSB, VOSB, SDVOSB, or any of the state or county certifications, that's $1,800, and then for the 8A program, it's $6,000 for non-members, but for members, it's $5,000, and the Hub Zone program is $5,000. So that is if we do it for you.
How long does those processes typically take on average?
So the question is, how long does it take to get certified? And it depends on which certification you go after. I'll give you generally what they say and what really happens in the real world. So under the regulation, from the moment you submit your package to the government, they say that they have 90 days to tell you yes or no. You're in the program. That's what the regulation says. But in reality, when you submit your package to them, the clock doesn't start ticking. The clock starts ticking on them when they say they receive a complete package from you. So how it works in the 8A program is when you submit your package in the 8A to here, you send it to Philadelphia, and when the package goes to Philly, it will take them maybe a month or so to review the package. The clock doesn't start when they review it. They will send you a deficiency letter, and you're going to get a letter, or first it comes in an email and a letter. So you get an email and you get a letter. Typically, it's going to be about 12 to 15 deficiencies. And the deficiency is going to be, did you, I don't have your tax return for 2015. That's going to be one of the deficiencies. And the other deficiency says your documentation says that you have a contract with this company that provided 50% of your revenue. I want a copy of that contract. So that might be something else. You did 1099 work for this company, and I want that 1099 form. So they gather all that data. Most of the time, all those documents you've already submitted to them, and they just didn't because you said the stack is going to be about 5 inches thick. I promise you, the package you submit will be about 5 inches thick. In fact, I got a copy right now. I'm just going to demonstration is better than words. I'm going to demonstrate. So this is part of the 8A packet. This is not the full 8A packet. So this is just part of the 8A packet that was submitted. This is the additional document that they wanted, and which we submitted most of these already, but they wanted additional documents, so we have to submit these documents also. So, but it's going to be this thick or bigger. So when the person that does the initial intake, they're not going to look through all those files. And they're going to glance through it. They say, okay, hey, Tony, you're missing this document. Now, when you respond, don't say what.
Don't say I sent it to you.
Yeah, don't say. No, don't say. Yeah, don't say see page. Go. Yeah, just say. You take out their checklist of whatever deficiency they have. They say if it's 12 items, you create another little binder like that. You have to, and they want it with 2 holes on top. So you have to do it with 2 holes on top, not 3-ring binder. Yep, so they wanted 2 holes on top, and so you have to submit it with 2 holes on top. Very specific that way. And then you create a new cover page with the 2 holes on top. For you send it in those little prongs that folds like that. So you have to get those prongs that folds like that there. It's very specific. And these things here, if you're doing it for the first time, you don't know all these things here. And so that's kind of where people get lost and they get frustrated, they quit along the way. So you categorize it, section, deficiency item ABC, section A, deficiency item ABC, item number 1, boom, put that information there. You go to the second.
Using tabs?
No tabs. They don't want tabs. No.
How did they reference with that page?
You can put a cover page in front of the divider. You use a white sheet paper as the section breaker. Right. Yes, but they don't want divider. They're gonna just throw all that out anyways.
Tabs so they can actually.
They don't want tabs. Yeah. They don't want tabs.
Flip through it and they're gonna see that white.
Nope, they won't see it. But you're gonna prepare that way.
So the next time they ask, it only be 6 or 7 more things here.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
they will ask again.
They will. If that dance will go about 4 to 5 times, and that will take you about 3 months or so to go through that dance because they don't work fast, right? So you take about 2 to 3 days, maybe 2 to 3 weeks to get your information back and ready. because you're thinking, I already sent them. And so you have to go find your files and get it all ready. You make it. Don't never send them the original because they're going to lose it. So only send them the copy of the original. Then you're going to send it back in. 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, they're going to respond to you by email. They say, we received your package. And then another 2, 3 weeks will pass by, and then you'll get another email, another letter, deficiency letter again. And it's going to be one or two, maybe even the one that you just sent them. The same deficiency that you just sent them. And then there are going to be a few new deficiencies, and you're thinking like, dude, why didn't you give it to me the first time you sent me the letter the first time? I would have got it. Correct. Correct. They glance through it, and then they say, you're missing this. And then when you go back, they glance through the next area, and then you're missing something. And so that dance is going to go for about 3, 4, 5 months, depending on how fast you respond. So generally, I tell people 6 months is like, from the moment you submit, 6 months is actually very good. But generally, 8A is usually about 6 to 9 months. Used to be 12 to 18 months in the past.
Recertification.
Yeah, you just do annual research, but it's easy. Yeah, you never. Yeah, they'll they want new tax returns and stuff like that, but annual certification is easy. That's because it's out of the reviewer hands. Yes, there's a lot of inefficiencies, and but now let me give you the mindset of the 8A program. I will say that they've been working to improve the 8A process. So we were able to get a company in there in 6 weeks. The moment we submitted, we got 8A approval in 6 weeks. So that's I have never heard of it faster than that. That's because, I did the package, so I have to pat myself on the back. No, actually, they only have one deficiency. Never seen that before. All the packages Myra and I have done, we've never seen one deficiency ever in history. And it was a very simple deficiency, like, hey, something like, yeah. Something, correct. Something very simple, and we just emailed it back, and 6 weeks later we got approved. And so, and that company, she got to the 8A program. She is doing millions of dollars now in the government program through the 8A program. So.
Only ask because I just got my LLC.
Okay.
I did it December 31st.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for Secretary of State. Yeah, that takes about 2 to 3 weeks. So yeah. Yes, so that's about normal time frame. Mm-hmm. Now, why are you waiting for them? Yeah. Did you?
You can call them.
Yeah, you just call them and you can do it online. And
I did it online. They said it takes an hour. It takes like 30 days or something like that.
No, they're just trying to make money out of you.
No.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Call them up and say, hey, yeah, it's supposed to.
Because I did it before with my other 2 businesses and I got it right away. Yeah. Now it just seems like it's changing.
No. Call them up and say, hey, I'm registering to be a government contractor. I've got contract pending. And I need this approved. Because every day that goes by, somebody else is getting your contracts. Contract pending. And I need to get my DUNS number so I can get registered. Yes, you need it for your SAM registration. All right, so let's go online and see if there's any other question. So does $1,800 fee get you all of the registration in federal, commercial, and state, or is it $1,800 for each certification? And do you need to have a tax return for at least 1 year before you can get certified? Okay. So the question is, yeah, that's a long run-on question. That's like a question in a question in a question. So, but that's fine. So $1,800 is specific to one certification. Like if you want the EDWSB. Now, if you know you want more than one certification, you want us to do it, we'll give you a package, a multi certification package deal. So do that instead of getting one at a time, because 80% of the paperwork is consistently the same for all certifications. So we can do that because it just It's very similar, paperwork. Once we get your main package, it's a similar package for all the other certification. And then the second part to that question was, no, don't know where that went. Yeah. All right. So let's go to the next question. Any other questions outside of certification?
So the certifications, I know they ask for different stuff, but the main meat of it is based off of what your business does and your next code.
Okay, so let me give you a general overview of what the package looks like and what they ask for. And I think that's one of the questions there. So generally, for almost all certification requires these things consistently. They require that you are legitimately a business with Secretary of State. You need to have a DUNS number. You need to be in SAM. All that's normal. And then they're going to ask you for about 3 years tax return, business tax return. 3 years to prove that you are socially, economically disadvantaged. They also want to look at 3 years of your personal tax return. Some of them look for 2, but most, if you prepare 3. Now, if you haven't been in business for 3 years, how do you get 3 years of tax return, right?
Right.
So in that situation, you go to your accountant or your CPA, and they will write a letter with their logo, with their letterhead, saying, Tony is this company, ABC, is a client of ours. They started their business on this day here, and we are we're their accountant. They have never filed taxes for the previous 2 years, but this is the 2016 tax return.
Gotcha.
And so so they'll write a CPA letter explaining to I generally have a CPA, generally get a bookkeeper or CPA do it instead of you doing your own letter, because that doesn't come as strong. And so, especially if you haven't been around, they're trying to find reasons not to get you into the program. The 8A program is, the mindset behind the 8A program is they're not trying to qualify you into the program. They're trying to qualify you out of the program. So that's a different mindset. It's like, Social Security, disability, right? They're not trying to approve everybody on Social Security for disability. You're going to have a history of medical record that thick before they can say, oh, okay, you know what, you suffered long enough, and we're going to yeah, it's going to be treated similar to that.
Right.
And whereas the other certification is a little easier, the women-owned, the veteran, they're trying to qualify you into the program, whereas the 8A, they're trying to qualify you out of the program. So the other packages that you will need is, outside of the tax return, you'll need a personal financial statement, which is going to be their specific document. When you go and fill out the document, they give you the actual document that you need to fill. It's your personal financial statement. It's going to look at your all of your assets or your liabilities, and it's going to look for your net worth. And they want, if you have a net worth of negative, that doesn't mean you're not qualified to the program, but if your net worth is negative, that may be a reason why they think you won't be successful in the 8A program. And so they might use that as a reason not to approve you into the 8A program. They may ask you for your business line of credit or credit cards if you have that. And if they do that, then you want to make sure you have at least a $3,000, something like that, $1,500 credit card. Anything is better than zero, because they're thinking, like, if you don't have money, how are you going to be successful in the program? And so for some companies, we have to take a step back before you apply for your 8A. We have to get some of these things in place so that you can get ready for it. And one of the companies, when she started, all she had was a $3,000 credit card, and we used that as her line of credit for her business. And she got into the 8A program, and she's been able to win millions now. But that's where she started. She had no. No, the state and local don't require they don't look at your line of credit. Same thing with the women-owned business certification, women with small business. Mainly the 8A is the hardest one. They look at all the details. The other thing that this one is probably the hardest one for most small business to overcome. If you only have one client, they will probably not approve you into the program. You got to have 2 or 3 clients, and then if 70% of your revenue comes from one client, they probably won't approve you into the program also. So you got to have like 2 or 3 clients. Now, it doesn't matter if you have 3 clients and 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, and your revenue is only 10,000 or 9,000, you're okay. But if you have one client and 9,000 was one and $500 with another one, they won't approve you into the program. Now, the regulation does not exclude companies like that, but they use their own interpretation to say that the logic is if you lose that one client, you're dead. You're out of business, and so that's kind of the logic. And so the 8A program is stringent. That is probably one of the hardest ones for most small business to kind of get going. All the other programs, you do not need to be in business for 2 years. The 8A program, you need to be in business for 2 years. There is a waiver to where if you can show that you have management experience or you have a little bit of revenue and your company's been less than 2 years, you can get the waiver and do it without being around for 2 years. But generally, I suggest get your revenue going. Get your revenue going. Get 2 or 3 clients so that you're not leaning 70% or more with one client. Now there are some gray areas I can show you, but I can't record that gray area because this session is being recorded. So if you are in that situation, I have some legal gray area ways of how you can get it. It's legal. I'm not going to show you any way of how to do things that's illegal. Kind of like an accountant, right? It's tax season. They're never going to show you a way of how to cheat the government out of paying taxes, but they're going to show you tax loopholes. And so I can show you some loopholes of how you can accomplish that if you're in that situation. Yeah. All right, next question.
What constitutes being a total small business?
Okay, so what constitutes being a small business? So the small business is a arbitrary terminology.
Alternative fact.
It's relative, right? I mean, for most people, somebody comes to you, they say, hey, I'm doing $5 million a year. You're like, wow, I wish I was there. And then, somebody else, they're doing $100 million. They're like, $5 million a year. You're a small business. It's relative. So I don't care how we determine what a small business is. For certification purposes, it's how the SBA determine small business. And so to do that, we need to use this SBA size standard. And so, I have it, but it's easier for me just to kind of look for it online. SBA size standards. You pull up the SBA size standard. There's a little chart here. Pull up the chart, and then you want to go to your primary NAICS code, and then it will tell you if it's revenue or number of employees. So they determine 2 ways, either by revenue or number of employees. So Tony, what's your primary NAICS code? 541. I'm telling you, memory. You have a good memory. Come on, good memory. 541 430, right? Now, how do I know your NAICS code better than you? $7.5 million. So if you're less than that, you're a small business.
Oh,
yeah. Now there are some industry where it's
How about clinical research?
What's your primary NAICS code?
Wrong. Research and development, and biotechnology.
Okay. Okay. All right. So this one they go by employees.
Okay. So
you have no problem. Yeah, you're good. You're way good. You're overqualified.
Even
Square.
we're really good. Then even the other one, other scientific and technical consulting services.
That's 15 million. Yes.
there also a net worth standard that you have to be below?
Yeah, for 8A certification, your net worth has to be less than 250,000. No. Once you're in the program, I think it goes up to, the threshold goes up. And you have to pay yourself, once you're in the 8A program, you have to pay yourself less than 350,000, if I remember correctly. And your net worth can go up to, I think, 500,000. But they don't count the value of business. They don't count the value of your primary residence. They count all your other investment properties, but not your primary residence. So you may own $1 million home, and it doesn't really count against you.
What about your investments?
Yes, all your investments. If it's long-term IRA and retirement money, they don't count that.
Oh, okay.
Only if it's like liquid cash that you can access anytime, they count those things. Yeah, all those they count. Yeah. Or you may have 300,000 in just a regular, mutual fund account, but that's not long-term purposes. They count those things.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to keep buying a new house every time it gets contracted.
No, you want to grow out, and I have other strategies in terms of how you can stay in the 8A program and be a multi-million. You can pay yourself $1 million. I have a different strategy how you can stay in the 8A program. So don't just go make all the money you want to make, Tony. Don't worry about it's like you're an attorney, right? Hey, you get in trouble, come see me. That's what you do. So go make all the money. Come back and I'll help you to solve all your regulation issues. Don't worry about how to do it. And it's all legal. I only show you nice, clean way of how to do it. I'm never going to show you illegal ways to do things.
Usually the highest one is about 27.5 now. There's a 2 million restaurants.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, facility support services. This one is very good for many of you because this is 38. Yeah, so instead of going under the janitorial NAICS code, which is I think 25 or 27, you go under facility support, which is 38. So it's a higher amount. So that's how you determine small. Now, if you're $38 million, if God bless you, you're not struggling like a real small business. So.
So most of them go by dollar amount opposed to employee.
Yeah, most of them dollar amount. Yes. Yes.
Waste management too.
Yeah, see. Solid waste landfill. All of those.
All right, we have time for one more question. Any other burning questions?
Okay, nobody's saying anything. Here's a question.
All right, great. What you got?
Would it make sense for a person, like say, woman-owned business, to start with that one and then kind of progress on to the other ones as they start to mature and kind of figure things out? So in other words, they don't have $5,000, but we got $900.
Yes. Yes. A very good point. I don't recommend starting your first certification as the 8A program. The 8A is the only certification program that has a time limit to it. All the other programs, as long as you're smart, like if you're less than less than 1,000 employees, you will always be considered a small business, and you will always be able to use your women's certification. Whereas the 8A, it's a 9 years program. If you start with that, the clock starts ticking, and every year you lose in the 8A program, that's like millions of dollars you're really losing. So start off with the women's certification program, because that's easy to get. It takes less than 3 months to get that certification. If you have all your paperwork, it takes 2 weeks to get that certification. So if you do self-certified, so it's very simple. If you self-certify. Self-certified means you go online, you gather all your own paperwork, and you submit it online yourself. And that's self-certification. If you use WeBank, or if you use us or somebody else, then it goes through a more form. We actually, our service is self-certification. We actually use a self-certification process. But if you use a third party, they call it a third party certification program. There's 4 approved organizations out there. And if you use them, they actually charge you annual fees. They charge you a one-time fee, and then they charge you an annual fee, and then so it costs a little bit more in terms of consistency. You're going to keep on paying year after year with them. So, but yeah, but all certification is good. The state certifications are also very good. You can start there. Or if you want to do local work with City of Atlanta, Fulton County, DeKalb County, Clayton County, all of those counties have their own certification as well. And that would be a good place to start. 8A should be your second certification that you look into, or maybe even your third or fourth, but never your first. Unless you've been around for 20 years. If your business has been around for 20 years, then 8A is a good one to start with, because you're mature. But if you've been around less than 2 years, 2 years, or if you're less than $1 million in revenue, then don't start with your 8A, because that's going to you're going to have to learn over, and you're going to burn 1 or 2 years before you figure it out. All right, well, folks, thanks for joining us for another session of Office Hours. Next week we'll be right here. Tomorrow we start the Gov Incubator program. If you're not in the program yet, this is the last minute. We have 2 of our incubator participants here. So Julius is online. He's in the incubator program. We've got a few people. We're actually starting something new. So we're starting an internship program with students that are being trained. These are students in South Korea. They're fluent in English, fluent in Korean. They are being taught by a government contractor here in the U.S. Dr. Kim, he's built a very successful government contracting company, and now he's semi-retired. And the way he wants to give back is he wanted to go back to South Korea. He's Korean American. He wants to go back to South Korea and teach a whole new profession to the Korean students, so that before proposal writer, capture management never existed in that country. And so he's working with a university. He's teaching people how to write proposals. And so what we're doing is we're grooming those proposal writers and then making them available to help small businesses at like peanuts, so they can get the experience. And then so we're creating a partnership. One is to help the students. He's doing it because that's the legacy he wants to leave behind. We're doing it because we want to help the companies over here. Because to go hire a proposal writer, the cheapest proposal writer is going to be about $60,000 a year. And that's like a junior, barely, I barely know the difference between a grant and a proposal or a contract. So that program is done very well over there. They are part of our partnership of White April. We'll take another delegation to go back to South Korea for import export. If you're in the international business, import export, that event is a great event. So, all right, so let's go to class over there. In about another 20 minutes, we're going to start deep dive training session over there. So stick around for that. Tonight we're going to talk about, who remembers what we talked about last week? Anybody? Oh, good memory. It's too late in the evening. You guys are like brain dead already, checked out. We were in promotion, but what step were we in? Yes, image. We were talking about your image, your corporate, your business image. And today we're going to be talking about, we'll finish up image a little bit, but we're going to be talking about marketing today. So, okay. All right, I'll see everybody over there.